Okay, so this is a quick video on how to build standalone apps for the MetaQuest devices. So this means that you can run your VR headset, VR experience on the headset without a computer. The nice thing is that you can do this on either a Mac or a PC, so that can help. And the main thing to consider, of course, is that performance is limited as you're running on a mobile device, not a fast PC with a good GPU. So you have the benefit of being able to run your VR experience, your VR app that you've made in Unity without having to connect to a computer. But the downside, of course, is that you need to be a little bit more careful with performance because the headsets on their own are not as powerful. So the first thing you'll need to do is enable developer mode on the headset. And this is mostly if you're grabbing a headset from the rental. So when you get the headset, you'll get it in the factory reset state, and you'll be able to set it up using the Meta Horizon app on your phone. And in there, you'll be able to turn on the developer mode. If you're using one of the headsets from the station, most likely we've got developer mode already turned on. If not, we can turn it on for you. So this is what it looks like in the Meta Horizon app on your iOS or Android phone. And here you can go into the headset settings, you can go to developer mode, and here you can turn on developer mode. The last thing you'll need to do, of course, is you'll need to connect to a computer, so either a Mac or a PC, using a USB-C cable. You can even use the charging cable in this case, but the QuestLink cable will also work. You will be presented with a dialog that may look more or less like this. It changes every time they update. But overall, there'll be a prompt saying, once you plug it in, saying allow USB debugging. And you can say allow, or if you're going to be doing this multiple times, it's best to maybe just say always allow from this computer. And pro tip, this will probably work best if you disable QuestLink on the PC, because otherwise the QuestLink software might interfere with it. Okay, so I have a scene that I've made in Unity using the standard Unity VR template that I showed you how to set up in the previous video. So this is just a very basic scene. I guess the main thing to note, of course, is that there's a few assets in here. There's a character and there are some props, but you can see that it's not super high poly. So this is definitely a suitable scene to run on the headset. If you go into the game view, maybe I'll just go back here for 1 second, turn on shaded mode. But just to show you that my XR origin right now is pointing at the scene, so I can kind of see the sort of heaviest part of my scene. And what you can do in the game view is you can bring up the stats. And here you can see, for example, the number of triangles and the number of vertices that are in view in your scene. And when you're in play mode, especially if you're on the PC and you have QuestLink, you can see the frame rate, and you can see the number of triangles dynamically. The reason why I bring this up is that if you check out this page on the Meta Horizon website, the developers.meta.com, so this is for the performance targets for running on a standalone device when you're building from Unity. So the main thing to note, of course, here is that we can see here, what is it called? Batches. This is also known as draw calls. And here we have some guidelines on the number of draw calls. So this will depend on which device you're using. So obviously when you have an older Quest 1, you can only use so many. And here it says either like light simulation or busy simulation, medium simulation or light simulation. And the idea here is you can have more draw calls if you have less other things going on in your scene. So if you've got physics simulations or heavy scripts or lots of skin mesh renderers going on, then it might be that simulation cost is higher, and so then you can have fewer draw calls. The main thing that you'll probably want to note, of course, is the triangle count. So depending on whether you're building for a Quest 2, Generally, you want to stay under 750K, 750,000 triangles in your scene or on any given view at a time. And for the Quest 3 and the 3S, you want to stay somewhere somewhere in between 1.3 to 1.8 million. So that's actually a fair amount, but if you have like lots of unoptimized meshes, that can definitely have an impact on your performance. And the main thing to note, of course, is that like it's not just that your frame rate's going to drop, but when you're in VR, frame rate is extremely important for the comfort of people viewing your experiences. And so if frame rate drops, it can really have the effect of making people nauseous, making people sick. And in general, it's just really, really unpleasant. So it's not something to take lightly. You really want to optimize to make sure that you have the best performance. So if you can't meet these targets, you can always test it out on a PC and run it that way using a link cable. But if you want to do it in standalone, really take these performance targets into mind when you're doing it. Okay, so how do we build our scene into an application that we can run on the headset? So it's actually quite straightforward. So the first thing that I'll do is I'm just going to save my scene. And we can see here that I'm working in a scene called Standalone Scene. And we can also see this here at the top. It's saying Standalone Scene. And we can also see here that it's saying Standalone Scene. So this is the scene that I'm working on right now. And this is the scene that I want to include in my build. So what I will do is I will go to Build Settings. And we can see the main thing here, of course, is the scenes and build. So I want to make sure that my current scene is in there. If it wasn't, I can always click Add Open Scenes, but you only want one in your list unless you're going to be loading other levels. So right now, for most cases, you're just going to have a single scene that you load. So you want to make sure that your current scene is in the build. The other thing to note, of course, is that right now I am using the Android platform as my build target. So normally it will be set to Windows, Mac, or Linux, and you would be able to see that because the Unity logo would be next to it. And then what you'd want to do is highlight that Android, and then you would hit the switch platform button to switch in between building either for Android or Windows. So if you don't have this option to build for Android, it could be that those build modules haven't been installed for your current version of Unity. And the way that you do that is if you go to the Unity Hub and go to Installs. So I only have one install on this machine, but you can see here that I have build targets for macOS, Android, and iOS. And if I have a missing one, I can always click on this gear icon here. I can add some modules. And here, for example, I'd want to add the Android build support, OpenJDK, and Android SDK and NDK tools. You can see here you can also build for iOS. And if we had a Vision headset, you can build for that too. But in any case, the main thing is just you want to have that Android build support. Okay. So now the main thing, of course, is that I need to just make sure that my headset is plugged in. And I will do that right now. You won't see that because I don't have a camera on. And what you can do here is under the run device, what I'll do is I'll just hit refresh. And what you should be able to see if it's connected and if you have, of course, allowed the USB debugging, then the computer should be able to see it. I'll bring back that build settings window. And you want to choose that Oculus Quest. And using the default settings, that should be enough to already build. What I'll do is I'm just going to go into the player settings just to show you one or two things that you might want to change. On the player settings, you can see here that right now we're using the Android build target. So this would be if we were using the PC build target. And you might want to put in your own name or your own company in the company name. And the product name, that's going to be the name of your application. So I've got like a really crummy name here, VR build for Android, but you can have a nicer name for your application there. And so that will show up on the Quest headset when you're finding it back. The rest should be all sort of configured for you. The other one that you might want to change here is this package name. And then you can also just give that a more sort of descriptive name. But the rest should all be set up already by the template for you. If you get errors, sometimes you do have to go in here and change some of these settings in the player settings. But like I said, mostly it should work by default. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say build and run. And so it's going to take me to my project folder here, this VR build for Android. What I want to do is in that project folder, I want to create a new folder, and I'll just call this Android builds. And then I need to save it. So I need to give it a name. So I'm just going to call it VR app. And it will take a second to build. If you're doing this the first time, it will take quite a long time. Also, when you're doing the switch platform to like change all of the assets over and convert them to be ready for Android. But as you build a second time or a third time, it's only going to build the changes, and so it will go much quicker. And so we can see it's already copying the APK package to the headset. And then I can switch to the headset and check out my app there. Okay, so this is my app that I've made. And so you can see it's all running super nicely. And I can use all the controllers, that kind of stuff, move around my scene. Okay. So in order to leave the application, what you want to do is you can press the meta button on your right controller. And you can see here that I can quit the application. And if you need to find the application back, let's just go back to my library. What you want to do is you want to go to applications, and normally you'll be in this view, and you want to choose unknown sources. And then we can see here, this is the application that I've created. And then you can launch it again. You get the little Made with Unity splash screen. And there you go. And that's it. Simple as that. Okay. Thanks for watching.